Hey there, my name is Selassie Kendrick. I'm a senior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst and an intern for the New Music Alliance, a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting the careers of artists in the Western New England area who write original music. Today, I'll be interviewing Leala Cyr, a jazz vocalist, trumpeter, and composer who grew up in Pulaski, Wisconsin, and has been in Granby, Connecticut in the Western New England area for about 6 years now. So just to start off, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. I got a shower in today. I have two little kids, so that's like a big to
Ooh.
do around here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm very interested in the start of your professional music career. So I guess my first question is really, how did you first start performing in public?
Actually, I think the very first time I performed in public was when I was in high school. It was like my junior year, and they were starting a talent show at my high school. And I was kind of a shy kid back then, not so much anymore, but I always kind of sang, but only my closest friends really knew that. And they really pushed me into being in the talent show. So I kind of gave in and I did the talent show, which was one of the scariest things I ever did. But I did it. And once I did it, I was like, oh yeah, this is me. This is what I want to do. And I actually ended up winning the talent show.
Oh,
And that kind
wow.
of gave me my little push into like, oh, this could actually be something I could do. And
Yeah.
soon after, um, I was also a part of the jazz band in my high school as a trumpet player. And we needed a vocalist for just a fundraising dinner we were doing. So my best friend, of course, told the director that I could do it. And he asked me if I would sing a few tunes with the jazz band. And I just happened to know the few songs that he had in mind because my mom owned one jazz tape at the time. It was Natalie Cole's Unforgettable album. And the songs were from that album. And I ended up singing them with the jazz band. And that was my first introduction into singing jazz. And I loved it.
Wow. Yeah. So you've come a long way since then, but yeah. So your song Give Me, which was the fourth track from your 2019 album First Instinct, was inducted to the Essential Western New England Songbook as one of the best songs ever written by an artist from Western New England. So I guess my next question is, how do you feel about having your song inducted into our Essential Western New England Songbook?
I was so surprised and so honored. I just was not expecting it. I got this email and I was like, what is this? And I was just so surprised, and I'm really honored and humbled that this song was chosen, because it was kind of one of these songs that it took me a long time to write, and it kind of took all these different directions until it finally came into fruition. So it kind of like, put all together that work that I did. Like it kind of like made me feel like, oh, I can write music and people like it. So I'm very honored.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of writing and recording that song?
Yeah. I'm very much a person of like inspiration. So my compositions are few, but they all have really strong meanings and feels behind them. And this one in particular, I feel like because I repeat the phrase, give me da 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 da, give me da 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 da, and that was actually just running through my head, like I couldn't get rid of it. So I was like, okay, I need to take this little tidbit and work from there. And it kind of was a culmination of, I really wanted to write a song that sounded like an American songbook jazz standard. So I had that in mind because Nat King Cole is probably one of my biggest inspirations because, as I said earlier, I learned a lot of his music as a young person through his daughter Natalie. So that was a big key in writing this tune. I really wanted it to be have that sound. And then there was also like another part of it, which isn't like so happy, but I had a very tumultuous relationship before I met my husband now. And I think the lyrics actually came from like we were probably in a fight, and it was kind of this letter to him being like, oh, please, give me one more chance. Please, let's, kind of work through this and kind of make it happen because the love is there, but it's kind of getting covered. So the lyrics came from that actually. But then I played the song for a really close friend of mine who lost her partner, and she listened to the song and took it in this whole different way of like wishing you had that time to tell that person how much you miss them and love them and how important their relationship was to you, and you're hoping and praying that you had that last chance to tell them that. So it's kind of all these different culminations that came together, and it was like no question that when I decided to record my first album, this is one of my strongest songs. So it had to be on the album. And I just really wanted to incorporate all these different feelings, whether it be, yeah, you're trying to get through a big fight or something that's, just not going right, or to someone you love that you miss, or you just want to hear something that's just really easy listening for your ear. It's kind of all that rolled into one.
Yeah, it's a very, very versatile song, and I really liked it when I listened to it for the first time. Um,
Yeah, I also like incorporated, I mean, if you listen to the intro, I stole an excerpt from Glenn Miller.
mhm.
So, that's kind of like catches your ear too. You're like, wait, I know this song, but then you realize it's not what you thought it was, and that was kind of the point. Like, I'm really digging into my roots, and taking this old music and making it anew and fresh again.
Yeah, definitely. So I asked you earlier about your start in public performance. This is a little bit more specific of a question. Do you have a favorite memory of performing live that you look back upon fondly?
Actually, one of the biggest ones was actually something a little bit different. I toured with Grammy winning Best New Artist Esperanza Spalding. She's a singer and bass player, and I toured with her off and on for about 5 years. This was about 10 years ago. And through her, I was able to go to Brazil and meet one of the most legendary Brazilian artists. His name is Milton Nascimento. And we got to perform with him for one of the biggest festivals, I think, in the world. It's called Rock in Rio. And we got to perform some of Esperanza's songs and some of Milton's songs on this stage for over 100,000 people. Like, I'd never done that before, and it was really crazy to be on that stage. It was like pouring rain before. It was really crazy, but the people love his music so much, and hearing them sing along to every word and really feeling that love like being poured onto the stage. And from Milton, because Milton is in his 80s now, so he was probably in his 70s then, and it was just really amazing to feel that aura. So that's one that definitely sticks in my memory.
Oh yeah, that definitely does sound amazing.
Hmm.
Um, so going back to what you were talking about earlier, I know you said that your music can be very it can be applied in different ways depending on who's hearing it. But if you were to try and describe your music to somebody that's never heard it before, how would you go about doing that?
That's always a difficult one because, as I said, it comes from all these different little inspiring moments. Like
Mhm.
another song that I wrote It's called Canyon View. And I was literally at the Grand Canyon with my husband, and we were watching the sun setting on the edge of this cliff. And then this melody just started playing in my head, you know? So there's things like that. Or I mean, they just come in little spurts, and every time the feel is so different. I have like Brazilian grooves, or I have swing, or odd metered time. So I think the best I can describe it, if I have to like put it in a little genre box, is like contemporary jazz, because it just steals from all these different parts of the world and different parts of jazz and pop and all these things. And then one of my favorite things to do is scat singing and vocal improvisation over the top. That's really one of my favorite things to do, because I am a horn player, and it's kind of like that too. So some of the, like, Canyon View is just an instrumental where I play on the flugelhorn, but it's all kind of rolled into one. So that's kind of the best I can describe it, is contemporary vocal jazz, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So earlier we were talking about you've been in Granby, Connecticut for about 6 years now. So from the time that you've been in Western New England, what do you like most about the music scene or performing in Western New England?
Well, it's very welcoming. I actually had no idea really what the scene was like here, and I was so pleased to find out that it was a really strong one. My husband and I actually moved here from Brooklyn, New York. So I lived in New York City, about 10 years. So coming here, starting a family, that was the reason we came. And, I was kind of worried about, oh, what's going to happen with my career? Is there going to be music happening? And then, of course, I was slowly discovering the Hart School of Music and UMass Amherst and all these great players, and the Jazz Society, which is really strong. So I really loved how welcoming everybody was. And there are such great players coming out of the Hart School and like Western Connecticut State. Like there's some really great players and teachers. So it was just really great to have this like welcoming community.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that you'll be in attendance for the New Music Alliance's radio show for the Western New England Songbook that goes on from April 11th to 13th, and I'm really excited to listen to that. But other than that, what else is coming up next for you?
Let's see, what's next. I'm actually part of this really, really fun show with a friend of mine. His name is Rob Sapula. He's also a trumpet player and singer. And I'm part of his show that is a tribute to Herb Alpert and Sergio Mendes. So I get to take my vocals, my trumpet playing, my love of Brazilian music, it all to this show. And it's really fun, and it's really like different and unique. So that's the next show I have, and that's on April 20th. It's actually in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds super fun.
Yeah, that it's really fun. If you have a chance to see this show, like, it's really cool. We're playing at the Claremont Opera House in New Hampshire. So that's on the 20th. And then I am playing with my own quintet at Jazzy's Cabaret in New Haven on April 27th. So that's going to be like my very first time as a leader playing in New Haven. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so you got quite a bit of stuff going on in the next couple of weeks.
I do. And I'm also going to be singing with some big bands in the summer and some other friends. So I have a lot. I have a lot coming up. I'm very happy,
Yeah.
I'm finally starting to play some more music. My children are 5 and 2. So it's really nice to just start doing that part of my life that I love as well again.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much, Selassie.
Uh-huh. And if anyone else is interested in learning more about the New Music Alliance, make sure to check us out at newmusicalliance.org. Until next time, I'll see you then.